The last time we had our Cougar Plus meeting was the 17th of December in Derry City, and then we said we would come back and gather the party in the new year. So here we are. So without further ado, I know people are cramped, probably a bit uncomfortable, but without further ado, I'm going to call Gerry Adams, Arlene of Sinn Féin.
Táid an seo chun mar a dúirt Carol, gar cín politiúil a phlé, chun RHI a phlé, agus an trúalú agus fáilis a bhaint leis. Na cín una atá an. I want to welcome all of you here to come in the Murdoch to the Felons Club. And today's Cougar Plus has been called, as Carol has said, to address the worsening crisis in the political institutions surrounding the Renewable Heat Initiative and serious allegations of corruption, fraud and incompetence. The future of the political institutions are at a defining point. Now, for almost 10 years, Martin McGuinness has jointly led the executive. First with Ian Paisley, then with Peter Robinson, and for almost a year now with Arlene Foster. And let us be clear about this. It is a good thing that these unionist leaders took up their positions with us on the executive. And I and others in Sinn Féin have frequently commended them for doing so. Let us also be clear that they could never be in government with us entirely on their own terms, no more than we could be in government with them entirely on our own terms. Mutual respect, equality and good manners is a necessary requirement to make this work. Regrettably, during a lot of this time, Martin and we have frequently faced deliberate provocation, arrogance and disrespect. However, under Martin McGuinness's tolerant and tireless leadership, the institutions have continued to operate and progress has been made, for example, on the difficult issue of the transfer of policing and justice powers and on many other issues which matter to people on the ground. Martin has led from the front. He has led on the issues of equality, reconciliation and peace building. Now, at times this has commoded Republicans, at times this has commoded nationalists, but that is the nature of change. The reality is that without fundamental change, a society based on fairness, equality and decency is not attainable. And all of this presents challenges to all the parties, to all the party leaders, to all activists, as well as to the Irish and British governments. Now, there are some who have seen Sinn Féin's attempts to stretch ourselves, to promote reconciliation, to be generous and patient as a sign of weakness. It is not a sign of weakness. It is a sign of strength. It is a sign of leadership. Anyone could work within the comfort zone of our own political parties. That's not leadership. That's not going to repair a fractured society. The real test of leadership is to reach beyond your base, to reach outside your own comfort zone, to try to make friends with enemies, with our opponents, to make the effort, even when the others are churlish, bad-mannered, or in some cases downright bigoted. That's the real test of leadership. And it's the test that the leaders of political unionism and the SDLP are failing. The political institutions established by the Good Friday Agreement only function effectively, and they can only deliver if they have the confidence and support of the people. If agreements made are honoured, if there is zero tolerance for corruption, ní láidir be on den threll u. To achieve this, the political institutions, the people's institutions, must be built on foundations of equality and partnership. The actions of the DUP leadership, despite the generosity of Republicans, has been to undermine equality and partnership. In 10 years since the institutions were re-established, Martin and other Sinn Féin ministers and our Assembly team have navigated a way through a number of crises and scandals. A lot of good work has been done by the Executive and the Assembly, and significant progress has been made, and those of you who are active in your own communities will know this, but also on bigger issues like cross-border and all Ireland matters. And I want to thank everyone involved. On other issues, there's been little or no progress. For example, on a Bill of Rights. Agus tá G Mas ag an DUP ar an Gaeilge agus ar pobl na Gaeilge. Could you mar is féidir fuha a bheith ag daoine ar bí de teanga? Bíonn cúnú a ghlach an DUP ar ihe nullag chun an tarigid a garú de lífa úntach maslach ar fad. The DUP have particularly shown a serious disrespect for the Irish language and to those citizens who wish to live their lives through Gaeilge. How could anyone hate a language? The decision on the eve of Christmas to cut funding for the LEAFA programme was a deliberate snub to the Irish language and to the Irish language community. It was an ignorant decision taken by an ignoramus. Now, of course, we will forgive him for this after he restores the funding and treats our teanga with the respect it deserves. There are other significant issues of contention, including the decision to renege on the programme of government commitment on the Long Cache site, the DUP's resistance to the legacy and truth recovery mechanisms of the Stormont House Agreement, the Red Sky scandal and the Project Eagle debacle. But the deliberate flouting in recent months of any notion of partnership government by the DUP, and recent remarks in particular by the First Minister about the Executive Office, have created huge difficulties. The scandal around the RHI is a scandal created by the DUP. It has been made worse by the DUP. It's not an orange issue, it's not a green issue, it's a question of good governance, or in this case, bad governance. And despite the opportunistic attacks on us from the UUP, the SDLP and others, and despite the understandable concerns, particularly in recent weeks, in sections of our own electorate, Sinn Féin has offered time and space to the DUP leadership. We have put forward recommendations to get to the truth of the scandal, to end the misuse of public money and to rebuild confidence. The DUP leader has thus far refused to stand aside without prejudice, pending a preliminary report by an independent investigation to the RHI scandal. She repeated that refusal yesterday. That's not good enough. Arlene Foster has been a First Minister for almost a year. Martin McGuinness has proven his ability to work with the leaders of unionism. But this can only be on the basis of partnership and equality. And Martin told the First Minister this in a frank conversation on Wednesday. Arlene Foster is not a Prime Minister. She is a co-equal partner in the office of First and Deputy First Minister. She can continue in that office, but only for as long as Sinn Féin allows this. Sinn Féin have been very clear on what we have been saying. Our record is there for all to see. If the First Minister does not take the actions that society desires and deserves, and which a sustainable process of change requires, then Sinn Féin will bring this ongoing and totally unacceptable state of affairs to an end. And today's meeting, comrades, is part of us charting a way through this and charting a way forward. Go raibh míle maith go leor.